Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome to Divine Allegiance. I'm your host Maulana Baig. Today's topic, pain management, part 1. One of the most primary inclination that man has, that human beings have, is comfort. Seeking comfort and avoiding pain. The first thing a man desires is the want to be comfortable. It's not only the first, but it's also the most important, the most primal, because without it, then nothing else, no other desire can come into existence. All desires fade when the issue of comfort is not answered in life. Yes, sometimes other desires do take precedence over comfort, but those things are in special situations under special circumstances, and they come about because of special virtues, like for example, faith. When Iman and Ma'rifat reaches a higher level, you see that the issue of comfort is not as important. That's why you see people who have faith, they go through uncomfortable situations in life and they enjoy those situations because of that reason, because of their faith. But in normal situations, in normal circumstances, when you just look at man without any of these other virtues, you will see that the most instinctively, the most important desire is the desire of comfort. Seeking pleasure, running after dunya and world, seeking fame, the enjoyment of money and wealth, and the love of dunya, all of these desires are subsequent. They come afterwards. If the issue of comfort is not solved in our lives, then we will not run after those desires. In fact, the reason that we are unable to deal with those desires and those pleasures and that we break down in front of them is because of the fact that we were unable to manage the issue of comfort in our life. Those are the next stage. All of these desires, you see, all the lower desires, they are the next stage of primary instincts. The most primal instinct comes as comfort. Someone who knows how to deal with the desire of comfort will be better able to deal with all the other desires. If you can logically and sensibly manage comfort in your life, the issue of comfort, the way of dealing with pain, and know how to deal with it and find your comfort in life, then you will be able to deal with all other desires and all other pleasures in life. You will be able to withstand them, resist them, know how to deal with them. Desires don't have the power to knock down a person. If you see a person getting devastated by desires or wrecked by pleasures or knocked down by the love of dunya, it's not because those things are very powerful. It's because of the fact that that person has not been able to deal with the issue of comfort and wasn't able to manage comfort and what comfort is in his life. And the inability to do that has led him to becoming weak. Parents complain regarding their children, that their children are involved in haram things, that they succumb to desires, that they're involved with wrong friends, and it's hard for them to withstand their desires. It's because of the fact that they did not learn how to deal with the issue of comfort in their life. In fact, it's not even their fault. Mostly it's the parents who have taught them to become a slave of their comfort. When you see a child and see them growing up, you emphasized not to do haram. You emphasized all of these the other things that rightly so you should. But the one thing that parents did not emphasize is the fact that that discomfort that comes about in a person and him being able to deal with that discomfort in his life or pain in his life and wanting to find comfort and that comfort zone, this is where they did not teach them. In fact, they showed them through their own lives that they are slaves of comfort, meaning they would find comfort and then they will follow Islam. Without comfort and without being comfortable, it would be difficult for them to go forward to do things that Allah has asked us to do or Islam has asked us to do. And this is why the upbringing of parents has been horrendous. It's horrendous because of the fact that the very thing that makes them weak in every other thing, they did not touch upon. In fact, they showed the opposite example of running after comfort. They always wanted to be comfortable before we do anything. Everything at first starts off with that. Let's see that in reality. When a newborn, a child is born, that newborn child doesn't understand hunger. When it doesn't get food, it begins to cry. It's crying not because it's hungry, it's because he feels discomfort. He feels pain. He doesn't know what hunger is, that he didn't get food or it's past his lunchtime. He doesn't know that. All he knows is that he's uncomfortable. When he spoiled his Pampers and he is now in pain and that discomfort, he doesn't know what he has done. All he knows is that he is feeling pain. He's feeling uncomfortable. When, for example, a child feels sick, has a rash, for example, and he feels pain, he doesn't know what a rash is, what would happen with the rash. All he knows is that he's uncomfortable. You see, before anything else, the first desire of a human being is to find comfort. This is how we all are. And managing it is not an easy job. Dealing with comfort is the first thing that a person must do in order to train himself to grow and develop as a human being. People want to learn Islam and grow spiritually, which is a good thing, and that is what Allah wants us to do. And we want to gain spirituality. We want to get closer to Allah. We want to find deeper meanings in our life and find peace there. Now, what happens is that if we do not answer or manage the issue of comfort in our life, then the religion that we practice, the faith that we have, will end up serving our comfort, serving our desire of comfort. We will not serve Islam. Islam will serve us. And it will end up serving us because to us, comfort is what's important. Because comfort has overtaken our lives and we now are slaves to our comfort, anything that comes our way, even if it's religion, will become a slave of our comfort. And such a religion, when practiced and when we become good at it, and we are becoming very nice because we pray, we do all these things, at the end, what will happen? The end result, we will become the best enemies of Islam. Why? Because this person, with all the adoration he has gained and the respect he has gained amongst people for being a religious person, now that religion is serving his comfort, he's serving the desire of his comfort, because he's unable to deal with that. And when the time comes for him to get uncomfortable, he will be ready to sell his religion, to sell his Islam. We who live here in the modern times that we're living in are victims of this. We are learning religion without dealing with the issue of comfort in our life, unable to deal with pain, unable to deal with being uncomfortable. Parents encourage the desire of comfort out of love and affection, meaning really what we do, parents, what they do in order to make their children better or happier or enjoy more, they train them to run after comfort, to be a slave of comfort. They make their life as comfortable as they can. In fact, when a lot of us, when we moved to the West and became more affluent, and after becoming affluent, we created an arena, a turf of creating and letting this desire of comfort run rampant in the lives of our children. We have given them everything that we can to make them slaves of their comfort. And we are thinking that we are doing a good job because, well, what's the money for then? We earn so much money for what? To make their lives easier, to make their lives more comfortable. What happens with this, and what's the end conclusion of this, is that that person who is being raised in such an environment, yes, he will be a student, but he will never be a scholar. Yes, he will be a Muslim and a follower, but he will never reach the heights of deen, and he will never reach Karbala and be with Imam Hussein. Because such people cannot. Those who are unable to deal with their desire of comfort and are unable to deal with pain in their life. It is truly difficult for such people. Parents should know that the first responsibility for themselves and then their children is to manage the issue of comfort in their lives. They have to train their children to learn how to deal with being uncomfortable, for being in pain, and not losing themselves when pain comes along or when difficulties come along. We break down in face of difficulties. Why are lives miserable? Because of this reason, because we have never learned to manage the desire of comfort, and that lead to misery. And the misery made us frustrated and makes us more miserable. And then it just keeps on adding up until we have a disaster. We don't know where to look. It said, don't look at haram. Islam says, don't look at haram things. People who do that say, but it's enjoyable. That's exactly why Islam made it haram, because it's enjoyable. You see that? Well, what? How's that? Whatever. It's bothersome. It's inconvenient. This is what happens. It's inconvenient. Yes, it's inconvenient. Allah made it haram. He stopped you from doing that. Yes, enjoyable. You know, this one kid asked a alim in Iran. He was in a group of youngsters who came to visit Iran, and they asked the alim in Iran, is that, why is haram food more delicious or tastier? The answer is that, it's haram because it's tasty. Because it's more enjoyable, Allah made it haram. You see, to make it harder on you. Just imagine that. This is, a lot of times, it is to fight our own weakness of wanting to be comfortable, wanting to enjoy. And these are things that if we do not handle in our life, it is going to have devastating effects. And one thing is for sure, it will never make us reach Karbala or with Imam Hussein. As we are discussing this topic in Muharram, because in Muharram we want to learn what is it that makes a person reach Karbala, reach Imam Hussein, be with Imam Hussein. And it's not just by accident the people who came to Imam Hussein became Shaheed with Imam Hussein, they became Shaheed. It's not by accident that it happened. There were many people there who left, who ran away, who escaped. They were with Imam Hussein. So what is it that made these people stay here? It's these qualities and them dealing and managing these issues in their life. And that's what we want to learn. Our discussion is about pain management, dealing with pain in our life, knowing how to find comfort in our life the correct way, in the right comfort, and dealing with comfort in the right way. That's what we want to discuss. And this is what we to see that. And we will see that in Allah's creation. Because when Allah has created things and He has created human beings, one of the things that you see in His creation that's amazing, this is how Allah made it. In order for everything to be in the perfect place, and so it could have meaning there. And that our lives could have meaning when we interact with those things. Let me give an example. A girl becomes baligh, meaning religiously mature, where she has to do all her wajibat at the age of 9. A boy becomes baligh at the age of 15, maybe earlier, but 15 is the the last age. He becomes mature, he becomes an adult. But when you look at it, you will see that Allah has given them obligations to do, just like He gave all the adults. So that 9-year-old is equal to a 50-year-old in terms of her obligations. She must do her obligations now. The boy who's 13, 14, 15-year-old is now equal to the 45-year-old man when it comes to obligations. But when you look at it in terms of maturity, in terms of experience, in terms of intellectual maturity, you will see that they are still young. And now Allah gave them the bodies of adults, but not the maturity of adults. So now what happens is that you have this huge conflict now that's happening. On one hand, Allah says, yeah, I'm going to give you the desires where you'll be pulled towards haram. And on the other hand, you don't have the maturity to deal with those desires. Now, what do you do in this situation? Parents are looking at their children and seeing how they can deal with this situation. I mean, yes, you will see it in your example. When the child is like 9, 10, 11, 12, it's very easy for him to listen to you. He comes to the masjid, he comes to the center and everything. But once he turns that 15, 16, 17 age, you see now it's a whole different breed that you're dealing with. It's a whole different breed that you're dealing with. Now he has become a man, but his maturity is that of a child. So now this huge conflict, and for you to even tell them something, to want them to understand something, takes so much effort. If we can all, as parents, put a petition and ask Allah that Allah, this age that you have made them baligh, 9 to 15 years of age that you made them baligh, if you can push back that age 10 years, where, for example, they're 19, 20, 25 years old when they become baligh, you know, it would be so much better. There wouldn't be conflict, they would have the maturity to know things, and it would be so easy to explain to them things, and they will understand it, and they'll follow it also. But you see, Allah made it this way. He knows better than us. He knows this better than us. He made it this way that in between the conflict of their desires is going to be their training to become a human being. This is where training takes place. It's difficult. In difficulty, you can't train someone when in ease, when everything is in proper place. It doesn't work like that. Training happens when there's hardship, pain, difficulty. That when a person starts to mature, starts to gain, starts to develop. And a person who doesn't know how to deal with pain and is running away from pain, or he's trying to escape difficulties, will never be able to go to the next level of faith. And if he learns faith, he will use that faith to serve his own desire of comfort. This is the danger that happens. Yes, when it comes to comfort, there is comfort that is condemned, and there's also comfort that is recommended, that we are told to run after. You know, the one that is condemned is the comfort, for example, physical comfort. You know, it's unwarranted. We should not try to look for that comfort zone physically. But yes, when it comes to spiritual peace and harmony and comfort, when it comes to our spirituality, that is something that Islam wanted us to run after. And hence, when it comes to comfort, we need to see what is condemned and what is recommended so that we are able to manage it and to know what we are running after and what we should not be running after when it comes to comfort in life. This is the discussion that we will be having, because truly we want to gain those qualities that lead us to Karbala, that lead us to Imam Hussein. That when we look at Imam Hussein, we see that. We see it in the companions around them. One of these things that we see in them is the issue of comfort that they had. How much were they able to manage this dealing with pain? Everyone who came there was there in pain. More than anyone, Imam Hussein. When you look at him and you see him, how he dealt with this situation. You know, let me ask you a question. Everyone was going through pain, and they knew that this pain and this difficulty and hardship is there. But everyone who was there with Imam Hussein did not care about their own pain. They were always looking to see how they can give comfort to the others around them. More than anyone, you look at Hazrat Abbas. A criticism is there regarding Hazrat Abbas by certain people who say that, you know, why didn't Hazrat Abbas bring his children with him? Why didn't he bring his children? You see that everyone brought their children. Hazrat Abbas did not bring his children. You know why? Because Hazrat Abbas did not want Imam Hussein to be worried about his children. That's one less thing for Hussein to think about on Ashura. This is Hazrat Abbas. How far did he think to make sure that he doesn't become a problem for Imam Hussein? This is that true sense of idea. Bibi Zainab also, she left her children behind. She didn't want Hussein. She has ma'rifat. She didn't want Hussein to think about it. Her husband brought the children and said, this is my sadaqah for Hussein, my donation for Hussein's movement. Let them go with Hussein. If Hussein needs them, they will come handy. But Bibi Zainab on her own, no. She wanted to leave them behind. And this is how you see that Karbala. When we look at what happened in Karbala, you know, can we find someone? How lucky would be that person that who has no pain and who has no discomfort except for one discomfort and one pain. How lucky is that person who's able to get rid of every pain in his life and every discomfort in his life, but can concentrate just on one pain? That would be so good. That person was Muslim ibn Aqil, who had no other pain and no other discomfort except for the fact that Hussein is walking into a trap, that Hussein is going to be killed when he comes here. How lucky is he that this is his only worry in life right now. May Allah take away all our worries and all our pain and all our grief except for the grief of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.